quick and easy. We're talking today about ad secrets. Might be a bit much. It might be ad best practices, but we're talking about ad secrets to win in Q4 because we strongly believe that Q4 starts sometime around now. And our goal today is to give you practical advice on beating your Q4 goals. Practical advice to beat your Q4 goals is our goal today. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro spiel. Erica is going to talk from Google perspective about some things to do, and then Adrian's going to talk about how we action it for our clients. And these are our juicy secrets. Our creative director will never waste an opportunity to put succulent fruit in images. And I appreciate that about him. We'll see some more of those as the presentation goes on. So really quickly, most of you know me. I'm Brooke. I'm the CEO of Mason. I think everyone here knows me. Erica.
Hello, everybody. I'm Harika.
And you work at Google.
And I work at Google. Yes, I do.
And you just ran a half marathon.
I did. This past weekend, I did a personal PR, so I'm feeling really cool about it.
And you've climbed every mountain in the world almost.
I have not, but that's the goal.
Most of you know Adrian, our Vice President of Operations. I think everyone in this call probably does know that. So those are our introductions. So I have to do this briefly. I'm really sorry. We're celebrating, with a little salesiness, we're celebrating $1 billion in ads managed. It's actually more than that. It's compounding. Thank you. We're an award-winning performance marketing agency with an award-winning creative team based in Dumbo, Brooklyn. We have a second office.
We just got the new award yesterday.
Got a new award yesterday for our creative team. We're investing heavily in creative. We have a second office in Charlotte. It's not our B team. In many ways, it is our A team. We just acquired an agency in LA, which gives us a different kind of footprint. So we've been around since 2008. And I think most people know most of our clients are either schools, which means lead gen, or D2C, and that could be fashion or high-end retail or luxury goods or watches. And I think that's a feature and not a bug of how we operate because this gives us skill sets across two different things. It lets us understand what each of them does differently. Thank you, Ashley. These are some of our clients: G-Shock, Dagny Dover, S.C. Johnson, Alexis Pitar, Mary Mecco, Italy International Center for Photography. You guys get this. I think everyone here is a client. So I just want to put this on in case someone came in that's not and they don't know who we are. So I apologize for the salesy stuff, but now we'll be done. So again, our goal is to give you practical advice on beating your Q4 goals. My goal is to align on how many new customers you need. Anyone that works with Mason has heard, hopefully over the last couple of months, about how we want to align on how many new customers you need for the end of the year. We've given those numbers to clients. They don't have them. I'm not sure how much clients love those numbers. They wouldn't tell me if they didn't necessarily, and I wish they would tell me if they didn't. But everyone has a revenue goal at this point for the most part, separate from a new customer goal. And I want to talk about why my goal to align on how many new customers you need is so important. It really is the clients that grow the fastest think about this. So let's set the stage with a horrible visual pun. In October of last year, I was on stage in LA with a great client, John from Risewell. Risewell is an awesome business. We could all stand to learn something from John. He also has great taste in cars, and he's a swell guy. So I bring this up because we're digital marketers. But I was on stage in October, it cost something to go out there. It was a lot of our marketing budget for the year, and to be away from our families and go out there. So it was October. People don't change agencies before Black Friday, right? So we didn't get any clients in October from the event. We didn't get any clients in November from the event. In December, we still hadn't gotten any clients. I don't think we got our first client from this event until, I believe, March. And then I think we got 2 more in April. And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. But given our average client duration and our average client fee, some people pay us little, some people pay us a lot, there's an average number, we will break even on this sometime in June and forever thereafter be profitable. So I bring this up because I think, and I don't want to sound too snide or negative about it, but I think a lot of our clients, if this was digital advertising, would have looked at it and said, this was wasted ROI, cut the spend, turn off that ad campaign you did because it has no ROI. Even though it's hugely profitable for us because we've acquired new customers from it, but it took 5 months. It took a while of us getting in front of them to do it. So it was a huge outlay of cash up front to get there, but it was a profitable event. And I think it's important to think, like, if this was a YouTube campaign that wasn't driving bottom of the funnel sales, would you turn it off because you don't like the ROI? When in fact, if we let it run, it was going to drive new customers the way this did. So that's my offline analogy of setting the stage about this. And I hope I'm talking sense here on my overly caffeinated New York morning. So why do I mention this? Why do I bring up this story? Because I think it's directly relevant. Over the last couple of years, interest rates have gone up. The Fed has told us to take a hike. I am not an economist. I do not know that this increase in federal funds rates is the causation of what we're seeing in the market. It is certainly a corollary. It certainly correlates to what we're seeing in the market. I will tell you that over the last couple of years, more and more clients are focused, and they might not say this, less on growth and more on maximizing efficiency. So the higher interest rates that we're seeing, again, I'm not an economist, but it seems to me that it's correlating very directly to investors asking for faster returns. They're paying less and valuing your company at less when they invest. And then they're demanding these instant results. And the companies that can succeed in this environment will do better. So that's sort of where we're at in this. So I think if we use the analogy of the trade show we did, which has been very profitable for us, but took 5 or 6 months to get there, I want to talk about why in this high interest rate environment, chasing ROAS or ROI actually brings less profit. It really does bring less profit. So here's a made up graph, but the point's about right. So let's imagine you have a customer that buys 2 items from you over time. Maybe some customers buy 3, maybe some buy 1. Let's say the average that someone buys from you is 2 units at $500 a unit. On the left, we have what it would cost theoretically to get a new customer in this hypothetical situation. Let's say it's $300, these are pretty close to an actual client's numbers. So if it costs me $300 in the right to get a new customer, and it costs me on the second purple chart, sale from an existing customer, closer to $100 to get a customer, most of our clients would say, because of the interest rates environments that we're in, I want efficiency. I want the $100 customer, not the $300 customer. Most of the people on this call would say, yes, I want the $100 customer, not the $300 customer. That's chasing ROAS, and I think it's harming people's businesses because the $1,000 client, the guy who has 2 items to buy from you, is worth more than getting an extra $500 from the person who's already bought 1 thing from you. So if you are looking at in-platform or in Shopify or whatever your Bible is, intraday ROAS or efficiency, you're going to tell us as an agency to optimize towards the lowest cost per customer acquisition, highest ROAS, highest ROI, whatever your number is. You're going to tell us to do that, and it's our job to do what you ask after we give you our best advice on things, right? And we're going to go after the higher ROAS items, but you're sacrificing long-term growth, right? By not going after new customers that have more to give you. I'd rather get $1,000 in revenue from a new customer, even if it takes a long time, like the trade show customers did, than to get $500 from an existing customer. So if I've chased ROAS by going after the $500 customer, I've made $500. If I've spent more to get a new customer, I've made $1,000. This is, hopefully I'm saying this in a way that makes it seem super obvious. This is what we're facing in the world right now. Is everyone's asking, and you see that you work with, I don't know how many agencies, 20 agencies or something. This is what's happening in the space. So efficiency now is not the same as real efficiency later. Let's go next. So here's an example of an existing customer that can buy 1 more suit or 1 more bag or 1 more watch or 1 more piece of toothpaste versus the new customer on the right that needs to be kitted up completely twice, right? So this is our analogy, and we're going to get a little more biblical in a second. So this high interest rate environment that we're in is I think everyone here thinks, this is sort of investors telling you to fail. They're saying chase ROAS, but what's happening is you're not getting new customers because the most efficient way to have ROAS is not to get new customers. It's to market to existing customers. And if you don't get new customers, you can't remarket to them later to get better ROAS later. So I know I sound a little crazy, but I want to avoid the low-hanging fruit of remarketing to only existing customers because it does not maximize total profits. And I want to look at the whole garden. And we want to be profitable for our clients, but we want to use acquisition and remarketing to get to a total point of profitability that's a little better. This is a graph. This is from The Economist. I can send this to anyone if they ask me. We have new orders in. This is the graph that everyone should stare at for their whole lives. This would be new orders in blue, which are not as profitable as the returning orders. They have a lower ROAS. They need to be growing and going up over time. But as they buy more product from you over time, you get returning orders and your total stacked revenue is much higher. You should be spending at least 30% of your budget on getting new customers, even if those customers' ROAS is much worse than the existing campaign structure of going after existing customers. If you're not spending 30% of your time getting new customers, you're not going to have a great time in Q4. And that's sort of a violent way of saying it, but
that's like a minimum.
It's a minimum. It's a minimum.
Even 30% will be a slower and steadier
So,
growth
so
pattern.
yeah, so I would want everyone on this call that's a client of ours to talk to their account managers and say, how much are we spending of our budget on new client acquisition? And it's not, some people it's going to be 50%, some people it's going to be 10%. Everyone's situation is different, but we need to be investing in new customers now to get future revenue at a higher point later. So let's keep going here, please. It's my last slide, I believe. So the question I have for everyone, I just said this, is ask your account manager at Mason how many new customers you need. What are you prepared to do to get them? How much are you willing to do them? Was our trade show that we did in October worth it for us? Yes, it was. By June and forever thereafter, it's profitable. Is a new customer now, even though they're worse ROAS, better? Yes, they are. And that's my spiel. Erica?
Okay, thank you. I don't think my slides are as good as Brooke's slides or the slides that his team put together for him, but I'm going to try to hopefully match the energy. Before we get into this, about like specifically talking about holiday and like what we saw in the last year, can in the chat, anybody, and I guess everybody can guess, what was the holiday online sales globally in 2023? So this is like November, December. No, you can't answer.
Okay.
You've seen this deck.
All right.
We need some answers.
Throw a number in the chat.
Yeah, throw a number in the chat. What do you think was the holiday online sales globally?
It's global.
No takers? Wow, we need
Come
some
on, guys.
answers.
Someone has
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? There's a 45-second lag.
Oh, okay.
Prime
That's
Day.
okay. Prime Day. 2 billion. Love it. 1.5
This is
billion.
global.
Global.
Oh.
3 billion, 10 billion, 4 billion. Okay. I mean, just so you know, there are 2 billion searches that happen every day. So it's probably a little north of 2 billion. 100 billion, 1 trillion. Hats off, gentlemen. Yes. 1.5 trillion.
I don't know who Edward Serpington is, but that's a good username when you're hiding your real ID there. It's a good one.
I love it. Okay. Drum roll. I think the winner is probably going to be between Hats Off Gentleman and Edward Serpington. It was 1.17 trillion. So that's how much people are spending out there. And within that, when we surveyed, 20% of the shoppers actually said that they start their holiday season as early as May. And 41% of them actually said that they wish they started even earlier, which means that now is the time for you to really start thinking about holiday, which is why we're doing this session. And next slide. Yeah, thank you. So what we continue to see within those shoppers is that they are largely undecided. 3 out of 4 shoppers starting their journey don't know what exactly they're going to buy. And this basically shows up, how are we able to say this? This shows up in the way that people leverage search. Search has always been a leading indicator and proof point of like shoppers' decisions during the holiday sales. So on the right here, you'll see that non-branded queries are growing faster than branded queries. So that's a clear indicator of open intent and an undecided shopper. Basically, what does that mean? Is that they're not brand loyal. You have the opportunity to grab anybody in the market when they're ready to buy. So as shopper, undecided should be treated as an opportunity for you to win the share of sales this season. So what does that mean for you? Next slide. This means that the holiday will be about leveraging the multiple touch points available to continue connect with your priority shoppers. Of course, what does this mean? Across Google platforms, holiday shoppers turn to us to decide what to buy, what to look up, basically do comparison shopping, get gifts inspiration, compare prices, all of that. And if you want to get the most bang for your buck, of course, I'm here with Google, so I'm going to say this, that you should be investing in a lot of Google properties for you to be able to make use of this holiday shopper searches. So Google search is the #1 most popular place where people come and look for inspiration. The second thing is shoppers are twice as likely to buy after seeing a YouTube video than a TikTok video. People have more intent when they come to Google and YouTube. So that is one place where I would urge for you to invest the holiday season. And next slide. they will give you a lot of opportunity to connect. Holiday shopping season centers around digital activity, like we saw earlier. More and more shoppers are now always on in their approach. 40% of people are looking always. They're not just like going in November and December trying to buy. They're literally like open the entire year looking for deals and like inspiration on like how to and when to buy. And shoppers are also more omni-channel. 68% of people shop in store, but people that come in store are also doing all of their research online digitally before they go to the store. So for anybody with a store, this is a competitive advantage for e-commerce players only, and for e-commerce only players, this means that you have to be even more precise in reaching shoppers that are willing to buy. One thing we're noticing is that shoppers are extremely intentional. So the people who started their shopping earlier year over year said they started buying in October, that they were doing it to like spread out their shopping throughout the year. So like they're not just buying in October, but also like before. So shoppers are going to buy on their terms. And to come back to what some of the things that like Brooke was talking about earlier, you need to be, one, aware of these insights. That is where your agency comes in. Your agency is able to discern all of these insights and help you with that. The second point is no-brainer. Now is the time for you to like start thinking about what are you going to do for your holiday. Start soon and always have always on campaigns that keep you top of mind when they're actually ready to make that purchase. The third one is 70% of your campaign success is going to depend on your creative. You should start thinking about what theme do you want, what creative strategy do you want right now. And Mason, of course, is like equipped to help you with that. So my one key takeaway from this slide is work with your agency on your holiday theme, your strategy, your calendar, way in advance of the season. If you're generally doing this 2 or 3 weeks before you're ready to launch the campaign, you're losing out. You want to have a strategy well in advance. So I would say way before you go on your summer vacation, have the strategy in place and then let the agency execute that for you in a timely fashion. Okay, we have some more things.
No, that was I want to drive that point home with a high five.
Yes, great. But when we talk about the overall strategy, I want to come back to what Brooke was saying earlier, which is like new customer acquisition. One thing I see a lot of customers do often is like they bank on their lower funnel audience to drive sales every single shopping season. This is going to dry out at some point, and the more you bank on it, the more pressure it puts for your upper funnel campaigns to perform when you like launch them. You want them to like immediately service and like bring you lower funnel sales. That's not going to happen. So what you do need to do is lower that burden on the lower funnel, have more of that upper funnel strategy, and then use that to keep funneling sales throughout like your entire holiday season. One thing that we know is that acquiring new customers, when we send out a survey, the next one is acquiring new customers is number one objective that a lot of business executives care about. And if you look in the next slide, again, to hone in on the point that Brooke was saying earlier, 6 in 10 retailers actually spend over 30% of their marketing budget on new customer acquisition. So if you aren't already doing this, then maybe it's time to start thinking about.
Even though those new customers are more expensive to acquire
yes,
than remarketing to the bottom of the funnel, they're worth more in the long term because then you can remarket to them later, which sounds obvious when we say it the way, and I wonder if we sound too snide, but that's the key. I'm going to try to be. That's the key point we're trying to talk to people about. Yeah.
Yes. So in all, you want to have an always-on strategy, but the one thing to focus on is that if you focus on just one stage of marketing, you're missing out on creating demand and converting that demand. My key takeaways that I would love for you to remember from this is start early. 1 in 5 shoppers are already ready to shop for their holiday season. They're largely undecided. Brand loyalty is a thing of the past. So you can swoop in and probably get them if you start early. Third one is leverage multiple touch points, not just your bottom funnel, but also top of the funnel. Make sure you invest in your new customer acquisition. Start talking to your agency right now in May about your holiday strategy, insights, creatives, and always on campaigns, and focus on your customer acquisition as an always on strategy to keep your funnel full. Now I'll pass it over to Adrian.
Thanks, boss.
Great. Thanks, Erica. So the theme continues. New customers today are going to fuel growth in the holiday. It's also important to say that when you see our white papers come out from the Q4s of the last several years, CPMs, cost of media, cost per sessions, they are the most expensive in that time. So while Q4 and holiday season is also a great customer harvesting time, it's also sometimes where you have some of the highest costs associated with that collection of new customers. So we want to constantly be pushing new customers into the funnel. And as a timeline to how we want to get there, really Q4, I think you said, starts in Q2-ish.
I think it starts now.
Q4 starts when Q4 ends. The minute we start to finish that period, we should be validating goals for the next year, ideally before the end of the third quarter, if not in the third quarter, to plan for next year. Start looking at our customer loss. Did we have an increase in churn? What was our LTV? How does that compare to the previous year? Validating some of those key metrics, then set those targets for the new customer acquisition. Because it's not just about collecting a volume of customers, it's about collecting a volume of quality customers, which is why you want to be constantly validating those cohorts throughout the year. What do I mean by that? If we collect another 3,000 new emails or 5,000 new emails or 2,000 new customers, reach back into some old campaigns that you have within your own properties or flows and send them to that group. Is engagement the same? Are they clicking through the same? Are they showing signals that they behave the same way as your existing top quality cohorts? Because that's a good signal for you that they're the right people for once you get towards a big brand moment like a friends and family in the summer or your big Black Friday holiday moment. In Q3, we want to make sure we're locking down that holiday push and starting to produce the creative, if not having already produced that creative. I will say this last Q4, our creative team really dialed into helping out on the media side by, I want to say, going through our clients at that time's top competitive sets and taking screen grabs of any and all promotions and creatives that we saw in market at that time. So we have a big file of all past competitive creative from that time that we can use to benchmark against ourselves for the next year, as well as also your existing creative performance. So we need to use the competitive sets kind of position in the market, plus our learnings to then develop our new creative strategy to push us into that time period. Continue focusing on the new customers. And while that's happening, expand your flows, expand your campaigns, expand your engagement strategies with your own properties. Because what the real point here about getting new customers is that it's going to allow you to have your own channels and own properties lift everything together. If we're solely relying on paid, which is the most expensive customer to acquire, to drive your entire growth, it will become unprofitable for you long term. You need to build and have a proper customer lifetime inside of your brand and build that brand experience, because it will help everything drive up. When we get to Q4, as you can see, grow, own, scale paid, and set the pace for 25 and start right back over again. It does not end. We're always running, and that's how we have to keep doing it. But it really comes from that constant validation. Because as much as we'd like to think that customers stick with us forever, maybe they won't. They might churn eventually. Everyone has an LTV. Some people come back later. There's customers that buy in bulk and then don't buy for a few years. There's customers that buy every 3 months. There's customers that buy and then, to Erica's point, discover a new brand that maybe has a similar quality product at a different price point, and they change. You can win them back. It's more expensive to win them back than it is to get a new one, because that new one has a fresh LTV ahead of them. So getting a larger pool of customers today can help you drive and push towards a larger own portion of revenue in the future and help future-proof your business as you go ahead. No one is saying that we need to be just driving an unprofitable, high CAC, never-ending customer acquisition cost. You're trying to build towards big brand moments so that you have these good customers existing within you that still have a large amount of LTV left that they will spend with you in those moments from lower cost outreach channels like your email flows and your engagements around your own social properties and everything of the sort. This has been already driven home a few times, so I don't want to dig too much into it, but the math is the math. Someone that's a new customer today will have a larger amount of dollars left to spend with you than someone that's already purchased once or twice with you, depending on how your business is structured. If you're a subscription business, you have a different model.
If you're a school, it's very different.
If you're a school, it's completely different.
Right. So actually, it's one of the things I just want to hone in on real quick as we talk about it. Adrian, finish this up. Sorry.
No, yeah, it's fine. So do you want to go?
No,
You can keep it casual.
well, because half of our clients are schools and half of them are D2Cs, basically. That's not exactly right, but it's basically that. And the schools, we can learn from them. People don't get multiple degrees, or if they do, it's the minority.
And you have
people
to
that
get new students all
they
the
are
time.
they are like sharks, and if they stop swimming, they die. They must constantly be getting new leads in that will turn into new applications, that will turn into new enrollments, that will turn into starts. They have to do that. The D2C brands don't do that all the time. A lot of the time, the D2C brands say, well, I want to maximize ROAS because of the interest rate environment we're in, I think is why. And what they'll do then is they'll go and they'll say, well, let's lean into existing audiences and existing customers to get them to rebuy from us, which is a great strategy. We do very well. We should still do that. No one's saying don't do that. But they're not getting as many new customers in. By the way, I think the schools could learn from the D2C brands about being more nimble about creative. I think everyone could learn from one another. But it is worth pointing out, the schools, if they don't get new customers, they'll be out of business in a month.
Yeah, and the math continues to math. If we know that it costs more to get a new customer, and we've spent a lot of time talking to existings, and we know that we also have churn happening, total customer pool starts to drop. And if total customer pool starts to drop, that would indicate that your revenue would start to decline slowly over time, even if you are more profitable at that time. So if you have growth goals at that moment, and it costs more to acquire new customers, it will be even more expensive to get out of that hole, to get back to where you want to be from a top line perspective. So it's the balancing tipping scale of how you do that, which is why this year, as we went into goal planning and as we went into like our projection sheets and projection models and planning with our partners, whether you're an existing client today or you're a potential future partner of ours, we have introduced new scorecards to keep us with a close eye on what's our total customer count, how are we tracking against last year's same month, how are we tracking against previous period, how are we taking the budget to revenue expectation to AOV and orders to give us a new customer ratio that's giving us forecasted new customers. Does that match our targets? And really keeping a close watch on it, which is, I don't want to say anything really new for how we've talked about it with you. I think in the past we've talked about higher ROAS, lower ROAS, and we're evolving that conversation this year to include these scorecards to develop insights around customer churn, help allow that to give us some better forecasting around the calendar, which helps drive the strategy around how we mix in these marketing channels to accommodate that, which channels have the higher propensity of new customers versus repeats, et cetera. And then using that for planning and planning out the year and using that to help get you involved on your marketing calendar. That's the whole thing that we're doing. I'm happy you like the report, Jessica. I like it too. And also Kelly, shout out Kelly.
Hi, Jessica.
Here. Kelly Stansel from our Charlotte crew has really been integral to helping elevate all of our data intelligence and business intelligence. So
Is that about it?
we're going to talk about a case
Oh, yeah,
study
good.
because it was put to practice. Needed is a partner of ours that is focused on supplements for prenatal. And their goal was more subscription focused, but it's same at the end of the day. They just may have a different process for how they're looking at these churn ratios and whatnot. But really, in order to prove out their growth, which they were going into an investment round during probably one of the most challenging years for brands to get investments. And in order to get and acquire that investment, we had to focus on getting new customers at a profitable rate that were also showing the propensity to become higher subscription and higher LTV style customers. So what that meant was not just running promotions all the time to acquire customers. It meant actually showing value and using proper creative strategy to find the right channels, analyze that data, track those new customer rates, track that churn rate, and develop the customer cohorts, which was showing a compounding growth of revenue, both from new and existing, while also, again, keeping track of churn, because churn is a really strong indicator of whether you're getting the right customers or not. If you get a huge influx of new customers, but your churn goes up and your LTV drops a lot, you need to look back to what you were doing or what we were doing with you, because it was likely driven by a heavy promotion or a poor product entry, right? Bad first product purchase. Maybe it's also related to something related to shipping or or customer service. There's a lot of different things there, but if we see those other leading indicators start to shift in the negative, we have to continue moving forward, but also take a look back to see, well, how was it when it was good, and how can we try to recreate that? This is a lot of words. This has been recorded, so if you feel interested in looking at this deck later on, you can. That case study is also published on our website along with a few others, so please take a look at it if you'd like to look at that. And this is kind of the wrap up for how to do it. So if you're using an attribution software like Triple Whale or Northbeam or Rockerbox or any of the sorts, you have some different viewpoints that you can use there. There's also some modeling happening in there. Your best source of your data is your customer data. Your best source of understanding how you're going to be moving towards a big brand moment is to track other leading indicators that we have up here, like the sessions to site and the quality of those sessions, like your own channel engagement. Are you getting more views, higher completion rate views, more followers, those things? Is your list growing, both from SMS and email? Is it growing at a healthy clip? Are you still having the same response rates? Are you still having the same opt-ins? All of that. But then the last one being, of course, most important is that increase year over year of new customers. As long as it makes sense within your business model, we would highly encourage it, because building new customers today and throughout this year, tracking these leading indicators of success will drive to a more successful full funnel and own channel plus paid Q4 and holiday season. That is the entire topic for us for today. So you have your goals, you have your spreadsheets, we have our forecasts and plans. We want to start talking creative. We have great partners like Harika and the rest of the folks at Google.
We've got this room for a few minutes more. At some point, we'll be kicked out of this lovely room in Google's new offices in St. John's Terminal. This is an incredible building. Thank you for having us. Does anyone have any questions for the Google Oracle, the Oracle of Google, or me, or Adrian?
We do have a lot of questions. I'm not sure if we'll get through all of them, but we'll start with Danielle Rizzi, who asks, where are the best channels to get new customers for the lowest cost?
Oh, I'll give that to you. Other channels?
I think so. That's a tricky question, right? Because where's the best channel to get new customers, but then you're adding the lowest cost. So those two things sometimes don't go hand in hand. Sometimes the more expensive customer is the better customer. Sometimes the low cost customer has a higher tendency to churn, or maybe has a higher likelihood of wanting a promotion. So what we have found over time, especially since like iOS 14, and this is not just because we're at Google, we do see that we get better quality customers out of a channel like Google. When we're running into a heavy promotion time and season, we can sometimes see that bleed into other channels. But I would say right now, from how we're seeing the data track, we are getting better high quality customers
100%.
out of Google. Now, as far as like when you get the most efficient customers, that's more to us at a blended level. We would never want to just look at one channel or one campaign to dictate that this is the best place to get all the customers from, because that pool could eventually dry out. What's more important is to look at the blended MER CAC and how you're doing that. And then, of course, use CPAs across channels to make sure that you're not overspending within a specific space.
Someone dumber, I'm going to say this dumber, this one much smarter than me, someone much smarter than me said, I can get you lots of customers, I can get you good customers, or I can get you cheap customers. Choose any two. Meaning I can get you lots of good customers, but they won't be cheap. I can get lots of cheap customers, they won't be good. You guys get the logic. And there's some truth to that. The more direct answer to the question is, if I don't know what your brand is, whoever asked the question, if I were going to start a brand tomorrow, and I was starting it tomorrow, and I'd ordered my product, and it'd been through prototyping, and I had it in the warehouse, and I was ready to go, I would start with influencers first. Because there's a lot of time involved in reaching out to those influencers, but the cost of gifting it to them will not be a lot. That's what I would start with first, with Google brand search and with some remarketing across different channels. But the cheapest way, if I had a brand new brand that I started tomorrow, I would go out to influencers, which is not a thing my agency does, but that's what I would start with is first step. Next question, Ms. Bruzis.
Benjamin Piet Runkle asks, what should I be more focused on, acquiring new customers or retaining current customers?
You should be doing both.
Both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we saw the split. 30% of your budget should at least go towards new business, new customers. And if you're only focusing on lower funnel, then your potential of attaining your top line growth or profit is actually going to decline over time. So you should be focusing on both. But Adrian.
No, I would agree with both.
Yeah.
And also that 30% metric, I want to say could also include not just like your marketing dollars, but like dollars you're using for events, like your total budget and how you're doing that for existing customer events or partnerships or all those things.
Ms. Brizes?
Next question from Al Bebek. How does AI change the consumer journey for holiday? I feel like this one's like happening right now.
Yeah, it's a big one. We're actually giving another presentation on this later today somewhere else. I think maybe a lot of clients, without sounding snarky, are not aware of how much we've been using AI for a long time. The biggest media publishers in the world, which is Alphabet and Meta, they have a profit incentive to drive better results. That's how they appease their shareholders. To do that, they are investing billions of dollars in AI to get better results. We're all doing this anyway. I mean, it's a sort of a glib answer, but it's totally true. From an SEO perspective, specifically, there's something challenging because different platforms, Google's doing it. If you're not logged into your corporate Gmail account, Twitter's doing it. Bing's doing it. If you do a lot of searches now, you're going to see an AI-generated thing at the top, and that's going to push down results in organic results. So there's no way to track how much real estate those things are taking up right now.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, that's not a lot different than people have been doing with shopping for years, because there used to be no shopping at the top of the page, and then one day there was shopping and it pushed everything down. So AI is, we all have to use the AI. We're all using it for years, and we're all heavily invested in it. I think it affects SEO and makes SEO more important.
Cool. William Mauer asks, how does Mason track new clients from an event or campaign that occurred months prior?
We use HubSpot, and we have an integrated sales team that meets every day, but we use HubSpot to track all of the things. We have a source of truth. I appreciate that question, sir. I remember you well. We use HubSpot, but most clients have a source of truth. We might want to call it Bible if we're feeling flippant. It's usually Salesforce, or it's Slate, or it's Shopify, and generally it's not GA4 what the Bible is, but generally a client has a third-party Bible that they're using, and they're saying this is what we choose to use. In that specific case, William, it's super easy because we know who we spoke to at the event. We had their names, and we kept calling them until they hired us. So in that case, it's super easy. Did some of those people also buy from us after the event because they saw our webinars? Yeah. Did some of them see our TV ads? Yeah. It all fits together. But if we met them at the event and we talked to them at the event, we had coffee with them, they get attributed to that event. Thanks for the question.
Your data is your best friend. Keep your data clean. Cool. Richard Beam asks, what are some strategies you've seen be successful in growing lower funnel performance?
You can't have lower funnel if you don't have a middle funnel, which sounds trite, but it's absolutely true. You can't remarket to someone if you haven't marketed to them first. To grow lower funnel performance, you need to get new people into your products, and then relentlessly focus on efficiency at the bottom of that funnel by testing creative. You had a stat that was 70% of the performance is creative. I think it's probably more than that, but I'll take Google's word for it. So we have to relentlessly focus on doing more with the bottom of the funnel. That means we're being vicious with our email cycles to people. It means being very aggressive with our testing cycles. It doesn't necessarily mean promotions, but we have to optimize everything we can do to get that customer back. We don't get a vote generally on what our clients are doing product lifecycle wise. So I don't get to sell someone like, well, the market's doing really well in blue, you should do more blue. That's not a thing that we get involved with necessarily. We can talk about that. We had that data, but clients don't generally ask us for that. So to make the bottom of the funnel better, one, get people in the top of the funnel, and two, relentlessly optimize the bottom of the funnel by looking at your conversion rates and your creative and your email flows and how you're touching base with those people.
Video, awareness strategies, Trade Desk for DSP, YouTube. We see time and time again when we implement YouTube strategies on like a reach and awareness standpoint, it will eventually start to blend down to more cost-effective cost pers at the account level. Not at the YouTube campaign, but at the account level. Within TikTok, making sure that within your mix, you're running follower growth and traffic, as well as video views. Within Meta, same thing, awareness, basically fueling into the top of the funnel. And then also tracking and having strategies that are focused around growing your lists and growing quality lists for yourself. So not holding them the same KPIs is the main thing, and looking at things at a blended account level.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a point about like just Google itself. Of course, the other parts I'm not going to comment on, but
Give the YouTube drop.
maybe, yeah, let's do a YouTube drop. No, but we have with the new attribution model within Google Ads, you are actually able to see if your conversion window is like large enough.
Yes.
You are able to see if your upper funnel campaign has actually resulted in a conversion or not. Of course, that totally depends on your conversion window. So you should be able to see if an awareness bumper campaign that you launched for a sale actually resulted in conversions in the next 30 days, in the next 60 days or not. So I will say, yeah, just do the entire funnel, but with attribution models, you should be able to see, hopefully, if those upper funnel campaigns are converting or not. And more often than not, even if you're not able to directly measure, I will say do a causal report in analytics or like wherever it is that you're able to see, okay, we launched this campaign at this point. How much did our brand searches increase by year over year, quarter over quarter? I think like even being able to do causal analysis will probably help you understand if a particular event or a particular blast, like whatever it is that you're not able to immediately measure, did result in higher conversions.
There's another metric that's in Google that we're using more now, which if you don't have it set up today, it should have come up in the last several weeks. We should get it in place for Q4 or ahead of that rather, which is the new customer metric under conversions, which is I think an enhanced variable in a tag to track a new customer. So great use case for that. You have brand campaign. Brand campaign is showing conversions. As you're launching and moving upper funnel campaigns, do you see a higher ratio of new customers coming through the brand campaign than previous? That's a great indicator that the top of the funnel is fueling new customers in versus people that already know who you are.
We have about 2 minutes left until we're kicked
And
out of
there's
this
some
room.
questions in this chat also.
I want to ask you some of the questions.
Okay.
Who's in charge?
And all in the chat. Two questions or one?
Okay.
Hey, Sean.
I was gonna say recommendation on how early clients should go live with their Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales this year. It started in September last year.
How about tomorrow?
What do
Why
you
don't we
think?
start tomorrow?
Maybe don't go live with your exact, percentage of offer or like actual BCFM messaging like tomorrow. But you should, as a brand, be top of mind for them. So start your actual brand building and consideration building right now.
Last year was the first time that I saw someone run Black Friday in July for a Christmas in July. No, I'm not saying to do this. I'm just saying it's every year it's become earlier and earlier and earlier. And I think you have to use the data we have to validate whether you should start earlier or not.
Yeah.
Our thing has been generally for a promotion itself, 2 weeks to 3 weeks is a good window. So 10 to 15 plus days is a good window to start the promotion itself. That's only because that gives you more time to be nimble against your goal and think about extensions and changes and whatever else. But we're having this discussion on May 2nd because we want to start talking about the fact that Q4 is starting now.
One thing Erica brought up earlier, though,
the customer base today is most important.
that you just hit on, we're wrapping up here. One thing Erica brought up that you're hitting on is getting the creative in early. Because if you have a date, let's imagine that you have a date, Sean or anyone else in this call.
And more creative.
Let's imagine that you have a go live date for your sale. Arcos Golf, I'm going to say. It's Google and find out where it works. Let's imagine you have a sale in your golf product and you're planning on launching it on November 10th. I'm making that up. I have no idea, but let's imagine that. If all of your other golf competitors suddenly launch it on November 5th and your creative isn't ready, you are going to lose market share. So you can have a calendar. You need to have a calendar that's planned out, but get the creative ready. To Adrian's point, be nimble. Erica's point, get the creative ready earlier, so that if your competitors are all doing more earlier, you don't have to wait because you don't have the creative ready. It should be sitting and ready to be deployed, proofed and ready to go towards it. So you can have a date.
Creative depth as well and contingency plans. So if you want to go to market, I'm going to make this up. You want to go to market with 15% off, which you shouldn't do. Have other creative ready. That is 25 in case you need to do that. Prepare more creative because all of you increase your budgets 2, 3, 4x during that time, which opens the opportunity for more creative testing. Don't just get one suite of assets. Let's make 3 separate themes. Let's have a lot of stuff ready for us to be able to test into because we're at a higher scale that allows us to do that. So more creative, more planning. That's why we're talking about this in May, and you're going to hear more about it in June, July from
Yeah.
us as well.
Thank you. I think we have to wrap up. Thank you for everyone who attended. I really appreciate everyone. If you're a Mason client, and pretty much everyone on this call is a Mason client, we have access to Erica and other people on the team. We can set up time with her and or other people on her crew to talk about it. Some of you have dedicated Google Teams for you. We're happy to have more conversations about this. We wanted to drive home was we want you to succeed in Q4. We believe strongly that the way to succeed in Q4 is to decide how many new customers you need and to go get them. And to realize that the intraday ROAS might not be as strong as you want, but the actual efficiency over time is much greater if you're getting new customers in and out because they have more money to spend with you. Is that cool?
That's it.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you everyone who attended. I really appreciate it.